welcome to my studio. Today we're working on our sweetheart frame, and this is so much fun, but there's so many things that you could use it for. You could use it for wedding presents, you could use it for anniversaries, for boyfriend, girlfriend, girlfriends, all kinds of fun ideas to do and use it with. So really think outside the box and think about just changing up your colors for what you need. So let's get started on this fun project. For our frosted lace, we're going to be using caulking, which is a latex caulk silicone, and you always want to make sure that it is white. It does come in clear and different colors, so we want to make sure that we have white. And I use Alex Plus, and I pick mine up in Walmart, and I pay less than $2 for it, so it makes it very affordable to be able to use this, and this will go a long ways. So once you're ready to use this, I use it with a caulk gun, and I just cut the tip off. The farther up you cut it, the more is going to come out at a time, so that's up to you. And just simply set it into your gun and start to pull that until the caulk starts to come out the front, and we'll put that directly into our mold. Okay, now we know what kind of stuff we're using to make our frosting. I put a little Ziploc bag or whatever to hold it. We'll talk about that when we get ready to put it back on again. So let me get that off. And it doesn't take very much at all. And I just put it into my caulking gun and I just squeeze some of it on. And you'd rather have less than too much, so I'm going to start there. And then we're going to use our scraper. And this is our linked hearts mold, and you can find both it and our scraper at miriamjoy.com. And what you're doing is you're just filling in, I'm going to get rid of this guy. I want to get some silicone pads underneath that. We'll probably have those, so you shouldn't slide around, but fill this guy all the way up. This is a partial heart and a partial heart, and I'm not running it total, so I'm not going to do those. So, but we're just sliding, picking up the excess and just working our way all the way across. And I kind of keep it all the way on my little scraper. And the scraper is wide enough that it fits completely across the mold. So I don't take one and slide it halfway. You want it all the way across in any of these little holes that we need to fill up. Like this little guy up here has a little tiny hole. We need to fill him up. And once you get your molds, this is so inexpensive. It is crazy. See, I've even got leftover. We just used a little bit, but I've got leftover I could do on a smaller mold, which I may do as well. So once we've got that, we're just going to let him dry, and then I remove this off of my scraper. And if you're working on anything, you've got that on something, get that wiped off and get that nice and clean. So let that dry. We're going to show you how to make our little rim here. Once I'm all done with that, I'm going to go ahead and clean this off. You could peel it off later if you wanted to, but it's easier to do it now. And then to put your caulking away, I just simply take a plastic baggie. You could use saran wrap, anything you wanted to seal it, and I just put a rubber band around it till it's airtight. I've literally had one over a year and it was still good, and then I just stored it just like that. So that's up to you what you want to put on it, but then you can save it for your next project. I'm going to show you how I make the little trim. And for example, instead of trying to put this in by hand and not getting your hands in it, you can make it ahead of time and let it dry, and then you have it ready to use for any type of project. So that is why we're going to do it that way. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take a thing of cling wrap, and when I'm doing this I make a bunch of it up so that I have it for lots of my projects. So that's something you can think about, or whatever. You can do a little bit or a lot, and I do my different sizes as well. And I'm using the shell or the star tip. But let's go back to our silicone caulking, and we're just going to put as much or as little as you want into this. And this doesn't go bad. We'll talk about how to seal this up so you can use it again. And if you wanted to do, like I said, a bunch of it ahead of time, you could. So, got some there. Make sure it's all the way off. We're going to, again, make sure we cover this up and seal that so that it doesn't go bad on us. Alright, set that aside. So we're going to come over to here. We're going to fold that and then start to roll that. And then on the ends, we're just going to do that until they come to a little tail. And we're going to put this little tail into our disposable frosting bags. And this keeps the bag clean, and you can use it time and time and time again, and you don't have a mess, and you don't have to wash it out. And that is really, really nice. So kind of think about that. And I'm going to pull that all the way through. And then I'm going to pull that pretty tight. And then I'm going to cut that end. And once we get that cut, I'm going to put my tip on. And this is a number 16 by Wilton. It's a shell tip or star tip. And then what we're going to put these on is your freezer paper or your wax paper, whatever you want to kind of call that, or whichever kind you may be using. And I always kind of have to weight the tips down for a bit till I get started. We do want to lightly spray this with vegetable oil. Not very much, but enough that it doesn't stick to the paper. You don't want to do too much because you don't want your frosting to turn yellow on you. So that's the reason that we put that on there, so it doesn't stick to the paper. And then we're just going to come in here and simply do row after row, either enough for your project or to make it ahead of time. So I usually start working up at the top and go as far as I can. So you're going to push and pull and push and pull and push and pull all the way across your paper. That first one, I had a little bit more of my vegetable spray on and it wanted to move on me, so that's why we don't want very much vegetable spray. And we've got all of this in our bag so we can do as many different sizes for projects, and I am using these also for Christmas ornaments, so look for those. And I think they're just really great. And what we're going to do is we're going to let this dry. And once it's dry, you can use it on your projects. Now, to dry, at least 1 day, maybe 2, depending on if you're using the bigger sizes. So think about that, how humid it is, how warm it is. I can't give you an exact dry time. If you wanted to color it, you could put food coloring in it, alcohol, dyes, inks of any kind, leather, dyes, whatever you wanted to color it. But the food coloring works just as great as well. So if you don't have a part you like, let's just take it off and we'll set him aside. And if you don't like your whole strand and you want to put it back in your thing, you can as well. So just think about all of those fun things. Another thing that we can do to this is add glitter. I like to keep the white with the white. I use a fine white glitter on my little pieces as well if you want it more Christmassy looking or whatever. But just go ahead and continue with those until you have enough for your project or you've used it all up or whatever you want to do. Now to store this, we simply take our tip off, and you want to push this out and clean it really good. Put it into the trash, not put it down your sink. And then we want to clean it out with our brush. And we have those at miriamjoy.com as well. And then you can take a little bit of the edge of the saran wrap. I want to make sure it's covered real good here. I usually fold it down 2 or 3 times so that you can see. And then I put this over the top, and then I screw this back on so that it is sealed tight. Make sure that is tight. Put that in a plastic bag and squish out all your air, and you can save that for months. You'd be surprised how long that lasts. So let's go ahead and get some of those done and get those ready to go. To do our heart frame, we want a frame that's wide enough that our hearts actually fit onto it. So that's something that's kind of important when you're thinking about this. I bought this one at Walmart for $1.99. This was a 4x6. So many times you can buy the wooden frames, dollar sections, but they're rather inexpensive. You can look for those at the craft stores as well. Pop these out, take your back off, and then we're going to put a red layer of acrylic paint on it. You can use whatever color you want. I like the red with the hearts. The one thing I will ask you to do, always paint all of it. Don't leave the back undone. It's kind of tacky. It's kind of an unwritten rule that do that so it looks finished. Otherwise, if you have this beautiful frame, somebody comes around the color and they don't see the back done, and you want it to be a nice piece. So I'm going to use some metallic paints, and I didn't worry about this showing through because I was going to put some sponging on it, and I knew it's going to cover it up better. So if you wanted it covered just to do red, you might need 2 or 3 coats. Sometimes red can be hard to base coat too, so you could start out with more of a pink color on the first layer, and then that makes that easier to base coat. Doesn't take as many times. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with a gold metallic. It can be any brand name. Folk Art is at Walmart, and that's one of the easier ones to find. And then I'm going to use a natural sea sponge so you get all these different textures. But we're going to dip it into our water. And with sponging, you want to make sure that you wring all the water out that you possibly can. Because if you leave that water in there, you get this muted down, watered down paint, and you don't want that. I see that a lot. So that's the key to kind of spongy. Now the next thing you want to do is you don't want to put it right in the middle, because then you're just going to have a puddle of paint. You want to pull this off to the side and then pounce up and down on the part that you pulled out into the side, and you can see you get that nice design and it's not all one glob. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to do gold, and then I think I'm going to do a copper, and then I'm going to decide what my third color. I usually do 2 or 3. I usually do not want to do more than 3, because then you can start to muddy it a little bit. So that's something to think about. But I really like the gold and the copper with the red. And I'm going to do the front, sides, and back, and also that separate piece as well, so it all looks the same. I rinsed my sponge out, and I'm going to switch over to my copper color. And I'm not going to pour as much as I did last time, because I didn't need it. It goes a long ways. And we're going to do this kind of the same. And when you're doing this, you don't want to apply, you know, too much, because you've got all of these colors to go on. So kind of think about that as well. And make sure you get your edge. We're going to do something on the inside edge, so I'm not going to worry about sponging that. We're going to put frosting on the inside edge. But the edge, the back, and then this piece here. So I'm going to finish this up, and we'll grab our last color. So the last color I'm going to put on is a metallic purple. And we're just going to do it exactly like we did our other 2. So this will be our third color. And it's just to give it a little bit of more of a pop or color. And we're just going to do it same areas as we did our last ones. And then we're going to let our frame dry. Once you're done and this is dry, I'm going to varnish it. The hearts actually are already sealed, so you don't need to varnish over the top of them. So I'm going to varnish this first and then glue it on top. I'm going to use any non-yellowing spray varnish that you want to use. You could use Rust-Oleum, you could use Krylon, anything you want to do. And I'm probably going to do 2 or 3 coats to make sure it is good, and just whether you want it flat, satin, or gloss, and that's totally up to you. Just do that in a well-ventilated area. Okay, once we've got our mold filled, I usually let mine dry overnight. I like to work them all up and kind of keep them made ahead of time, especially for this project, because we're going to end up using 4 of our linked heart mold. And you know they're done because they're going to kind of just pop out real easy and nothing sticks to the bottom. That's the reason that you know that it is done right. It depends on how fast it dries, how warm it is, how humid it is, all those kind of things. So you have to kind of play with it a little bit and think about that when you're using it. So it's going to depend on that. Now we're going to take these and treat these kind of like stained glass. And I'm going to use just a dip of water barely on my finger to help me rub these clean and clean this pattern all up. Now if you don't, you kind of get, see how we kind of get this stuff over here and it doesn't look very pretty or anything. That's what we're going to have, and that's what we're getting rid of right now. And if you happen to pull one out and it still has some in it, just stick it back into the mold and work it a little bit again. Now this is a easier one to do. It's not very hard. The detail areas are larger. It is going to make a little bit of a mess, so you may want to do it on a tray. And I usually go ahead and clean the rest of my mold and get get this all ready. And again, you don't want that too wet, just enough that your fingers kind of sliding away, because you don't want this to stick to anything else. Let's take a look and see if we've got it all. A little bit more right there. And that looks pretty good. So I'm going to set this separately while it finishes drying. You don't want to lay two on top of each other if they're wet, because they will stick to each other. And I like these little heart guys. I use them on different things, so I'm going to go ahead and take them out and use them for another project. I just save them in a little box, and when I'm ready, I've got them. We're going to start laying our pieces down to see how they fit. So I've kind of arranged this first one at the top and these two on the side. And you can see these go about halfway through this heart. So we are going to trim those so that they will fit. And just do that with our scissors. Now see how we have some little rough stuff on those. If you want to just kind of even those out just a little bit, you can. And I think even on this part right here, I'm going to take him off right about there, so we don't have any real rough spots. And lay that back down. And once we do that on both sides, then that will just lay right on top of that. And you could do both of them down here. You could do one up here and one over here, just however you want to do it. The next thing we're going to do is, once our little lace stuff has dried, we're going to remove it, and then I'm going to cut exactly how long these pieces are on my, just with my scissors. So I've got that one there, and then I've got this one on the side. This is also, we can glue them on and everything, so I might have one extra shell on that one. I'm not going to cut that one all the way too far yet. So I'm going to do another one that size. He's already breaking right there, which is perfect. And then another one up the other side. So go ahead and get everything cut off, and then we'll get ready to assemble it together. Once we've got these cut, you're going to notice that there is a smooth side. It was face down in your mold, and then a rougher side, which was the upside. And I like putting these on a little piece of cardboard so that I can spray them. And I'm going to use adhesive spray, and I'm also going to get another little piece and put these guys up the same way with their back, and I'm going to spray them. On this one, I'm going to use some Loctite spray adhesive, but there's also E6000 spray. There's some different sprays. Test them, see which you like the best. And I'm also going to put a little bit of E6000 on my board as well, just to give it that extra little support when I get done. So on the instructions it says to let it sit about 3 minutes. You don't want to put it on while it's wet. It gets kind of tacky, and I want to make sure these guys aren't touching, because if they touch and I can't get them off, that's kind of not a fun situation either. And I'm going to do this in a well ventilated area, and I want to make sure that I get them pretty well, and then we'll start putting them on. I'm going to take a little bit of our E6000, and I'm going to lay a little bit around. If you wanted to put it all on with E6000, you can use a fan brush and run it through your glue and apply it that way. But that's a little bit hard and messy, and then you've got to clean out your brush. So I just kind of like to put some of this here and there. The one nice thing about the spray adhesive on the Loctite is it's repositional. You can move it around. So that's a good thing to know. Now with the E6000 on, we're not going to be able to move it around as much. And I bet I could just put it here. But it would help, the E6000 would help with the edges, and especially since this part's a little bit heavier than our lace. So we're gonna just put this on. And I've kind of been playing if I want some bigger on the outside or not. So we'll kind of see with that. And then I'm just going to lightly, and I'm going to use my finger, do that. You only want to spend a couple minutes doing this because don't forget we've got our other piece drying out there. We need to put it on in about 3 minutes time. So I'm going to go grab that and we're going to put it all together. Make sure you don't touch these as you're pulling them off to one another because they don't like to come unglued. And if you need to mark your frame a little bit, you can as well because we want this nice and even here. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to lightly press that down and I'm going to start my sides. And we want this one down. I'm going to do mine at the bottom. So I'm going to put this almost up here where it's touching the edges. And these need to touch all the way down as well. So we've got that. And I've got this a little bit longer here, so I must have pulled this one up a little bit. They can stretch sometimes, so think about that. So I may have stretched it out a little bit, and I think I did because this one is not as long. So it's a good thing to know, right? If I make the mistake, a lot of times you'll make the mistake, and this way you'll know how to fix it. I always tell people that's why we leave the mistakes in. So we're going to go over that guy just a little bit. And then down at the bottom, we want to come up even with those. There, that looks real good. So I'm going to go ahead and push that down now. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, while we're playing, let's get these guys in real quick here. We don't want to leave them too long. So we're going to put the one in the bottom. And if you had smaller, I don't know what to call this, shells, in a bigger area, move your shells towards the front so that they show well. You don't want to not have them show. I really like this, how pretty this is. You could change this for Christmas colors to do at Christmas time and use as gifts. You could use it for a wedding. I think I'm going to have to cut one of these out of here. We'll stretch him just a little bit to make him fit. That's the nice thing about it's a little bit stretchy, so we can kind of stretch and pull, but isn't this turning out just really fun? I'm going to get rid of that little weird guy right there. And we're going to get rid of this little guy right here. And pull and stretch that just a little bit down on both ends. Okay, then you could look at it decide if you want to go ahead and do the sides or not. That may be too much. That may be more than you want to put on there. Another thing you can also do, I've done with this, I've glued rhinestones in, like I have heart rhinestones, or you could put a circle rhinestone here or anything just to give it that extra little bling or make it fancy. But there's so many things that you can do with it, and just by simply changing the color, you're going to have a new one every time. Didn't you learn a lot in that video? I think this is so much fun. I love doing this. This is my new favorite medium. See all the fun things that we're making with this. Come on over to miriamjoy.com, where you can get your molds under frosted lace molds, where we have them there for you. And then you can follow all of our links to all of our different social medias, where we always have fun and exciting projects for you. Thank you. God bless.